In this video, you have the opportunity to take a full IELTS listening practice test. You will listen to a recording and answer questions as you listen. You will see the correct answers at the end of the video. Now, grab some paper and a pen so you can write down your answers and compare them with the correct ones at the end. When you have finished the listening test, tell me in the comments how many correct answers you have. For example, 25 out of 40 or 30 out of 40. If you're going to take your IELTS soon, check out my IELTS materials. There, I teach you everything you need to score high. I show you step by step how to give high-scoring answers. And of course, we do many practice tests together, so you will feel confident for your test. You can find the link in the description below. And now, let's get started.
You will listen to a series of recordings, and you will have to answer questions based on what you hear. You will have time to read the instructions and questions beforehand, and you will have an opportunity to review your answers. Each recording will be played only once. The test consists of 4 parts. Now, please turn to Part 1. Part 1. You will listen to a conversation between a staff member at a museum and a visitor. Before we begin, take a moment to look at questions 1 to 6 first. Now we will begin. Answer the questions as you listen, as the recording will not be played again. Pay close attention and answer questions 1 to 6.
Welcome to the National Maritime Museum. I understand you'd like to complete our visitor feedback survey.
Yes, that's right. Happy to help.
Thank you so much. We always appreciate visitors taking the time to share their thoughts. Could I start with your name, please?
It's Peter Blackwell. That's Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. Blackwell. And for our records, could I take your email address?
Yes, it's blackwell.peter@petermail.com.
So that's blackwell.peter@petermail.com.
No, sorry. Actually, just Peter. Peter @petermail.com. No Blackwell in the first part.
I apologize for the confusion. So it's peter@petermail.com.
That's correct.
And could we have a contact number as well?
Certainly. It's 07700946823.
Let me read that back. 0770009468832.
No, it's actually 0770009468832. The last 2 digits are 32, not 23.
07700946832. Got it now, thank you. Could you tell me when you visited the museum?
I came on the 18th of May.
The 18th of May, perfect. And how long did you spend here approximately?
We arrived around 10 in the morning and left just after 3, so about 5 hours in total.
5 hours, that's quite a comprehensive visit. What was the main purpose of your visit?
Well, I'm actually researching maritime history for a book I'm writing. So it was primarily research rather than just a casual visit.
That sounds fascinating. I'll note that down as research.
You now have a moment to look at questions 7 to 10. Now listen and respond to questions 7 to 10.
Now, could you tell me which exhibition you enjoyed the most during your visit?
I was particularly impressed by the Arctic exploration display. The historical artefacts and the personal accounts of the explorers were quite moving.
The Arctic Exploration Exhibition is one of our most popular. We're glad you enjoyed it. On a scale from poor to excellent, how would you rate our facilities?
The exhibits were excellent, the cafe was good. but I was most impressed by the interactive displays. The screens that allowed visitors to explore historical maps and routes were outstanding.
Thank you. I'll note down that you rated our interactive displays as excellent. Is there anything you feel we could improve?
I think you could benefit from having more seating areas throughout the museum. After a couple of hours, I really wanted to sit down and take notes, but found limited options.
That's very helpful feedback. More seating areas. I'll make sure to pass that on to management. Finally, would you recommend the museum to friends or family?
Absolutely. I've already told several colleagues about it, especially those interested in naval history.
Wonderful. So that's a definitely for recommending us?
Yes, definitely.
Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Blackwell. Your feedback is invaluable for helping us improve visitor experience.
Part 1 has now ended. You now have 30 seconds to review your answers. Please turn to Part 2. In Part 2, you will listen to a project manager talking about a regeneration project. Take a moment to look at questions 11 to 15. Pay close attention and answer questions 11 to 15.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending this public information session about the Riverside Quarter Regeneration Project. My name is Sophia Lawson, and I'm the project manager overseeing this exciting development. I'd like to start by giving you an overview of our timeline. The Riverside Quarter project is substantial, with construction scheduled to take place over 24 months. We're breaking ground next month, and if all goes according to plan, the entire development will be completed by summer 2027. What makes this project special is its comprehensive approach to urban renewal. While many developments focus solely on housing or commercial spaces, our primary objective is to create a mixed-use community space that integrates living, working, and recreational areas. We believe this balanced approach will revitalise the neighbourhood in a sustainable way. For those unfamiliar with the site's history, the area was previously occupied by industrial facilities, primarily textile factories that were operational until the early 1990s. Since then, the buildings have fallen into disrepair, and the area has remained largely unused, which is why this regeneration project is so important for our community. We've made community engagement a priority throughout the planning process. While we did conduct some online surveys and a limited number of interviews, our most valuable input came from the series of public meetings we held over the past year. Many of you in this room contributed valuable insights that have shaped our final plans, and we're grateful for your participation. As for the financial aspects, this project represents a true public-private partnership. While we have secured some government grants for specific elements, like the community facilities, and there are several private investors involved. The majority of the funding comes from this collaborative approach between public entities and private companies.
You now have a moment to review questions 16 to 20. Next, listen and answer questions 16 to 20.
Now, let me walk you through the key features of the development and our phased completion plan. We'll begin with Phase 1, which focuses on the cultural hub and transport infrastructure. The cultural hub will feature a modern art gallery that will primarily showcase local artists' work. It will also include a performing arts theatre with a capacity of 250 seats, designed for both professional productions and community use. Also in Phase 1, we'll be addressing transport links to ensure the area is accessible. This includes improving existing bus routes and constructing a new bicycle network that will connect the Riverside Quarter to the city centre and surrounding neighbourhoods. Moving on to Phase 2, we'll develop the green spaces and community facilities. The green spaces will include a community garden where residents can grow their own produce, and a riverside walkway with native plants that will enhance biodiversity while providing a beautiful recreational area. The community facilities in Phase 2 will include a health centre offering both general practice services and specialised care. We'll also construct a learning centre that will provide educational resources and classes for all age groups. Finally, Phase 3 will focus on the residential area. This will include affordable apartments aimed at young professionals and smaller households, as well as family homes with multiple bedrooms. Our housing mix is designed to create a diverse community where people from different backgrounds and life stages can thrive together. Each phase is expected to take approximately 8 months, with some overlap in the construction schedules. I hope this overview gives you a clear picture of what we're aiming to achieve with the Riverside Quarter project. We're now ready to take your questions and hear any additional feedback you might have.
Part 2 has now ended. You now have 30 seconds to review your answers. Please turn to Part 3. In Part 3, you will listen to a conversation between a professor and 2 students preparing a research project. Take a moment to review questions 21 to 25 first. Pay close attention and answer questions 21 to 25.
Good afternoon, James and Sophie. I've been looking forward to discussing your research project proposal.
Thank you for making time for us, Professor Miller. We're excited to share our ideas and get your feedback.
Yes, we've been refining our research question based on the preliminary literature review.
Excellent. Could you start by telling me about your chosen topic?
Of course. We're investigating the impact of classroom environment on student academic performance. We're particularly interested in how factors like lighting, temperature, and noise levels affect concentration and learning outcomes.
That's an interesting focus. Environmental factors are often overlooked in educational research despite their potential significance.
That's exactly why we chose this direction. Most studies focus on teaching methodologies or curriculum design, but we wanted to explore these physical environmental factors that might be just as important.
I see. And who's doing what in your research team?
I'll be leading the project coordination and handling the literature analysis. Sophie will be focusing on quantitative data collection and analysis.
Yes, I'll be designing the data collection instruments and coordinating with the participating schools.
And what methodology are you planning to use?
We're proposing a longitudinal study over 1 academic year. We want to track changes over time rather than just taking a snapshot.
That makes sense for this type of research. And will you have control and experimental groups?
Yes, we'll have a control group in standard learning environments and an experimental group where we'll implement enhanced lighting conditions. We considered including temperature as a variable too, but thought it might make the study too complex.
I think focusing on one environmental factor is wise. What data collection methods will you employ?
We'll be gathering academic performance records to measure outcomes, conducting structured interviews with students and teachers to collect qualitative data, and taking environmental measurements to ensure consistency.
For the environmental measurements, we'll use light meters to ensure the experimental conditions are properly maintained throughout the study period.
Before hearing the rest of the conversation, you have some time to review questions 26 to 30. Next, listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
Sounds comprehensive. Now, what challenges do you anticipate in your research?
We've identified several potential hurdles. First, we're concerned about time constraints for data collection, especially since we need to align with the academic year calendar.
How do you plan to address this challenge?
We're thinking of adjusting our research timeline to start preliminary work this summer, before the academic year begins, to give us more flexibility.
Another issue is insufficient funding for equipment, particularly the specialised light meters and recording devices we need.
Have you explored additional funding sources?
Yes, we've applied for a supplementary grant from the engineering department since they have interest in environmental monitoring, and they've tentatively approved it.
We're also concerned about inconsistent measurement techniques affecting our data reliability.
That's a valid concern. What's your solution?
We're developing standardized protocols for all measurements, and will train everyone involved to ensure consistency.
There are also ethical concerns regarding participant consent, especially since we're working with minors in schools.
You'll definitely need to address that carefully.
Yes, we're planning to consult with the Ethics Committee next week to ensure our consent procedures are robust and appropriate.
Finally, we're concerned about difficulty controlling environmental variables in real-world settings. Schools have many factors we can't control.
How will you manage this?
We're considering modifying the scope of our research to focus on a smaller number of more controlled classroom environments, rather than trying to include too many variables.
These are all thoughtful considerations. I particularly appreciate that you've already identified potential solutions to each challenge.
Thank you. We wanted to demonstrate that we've thoroughly thought through the practicalities of implementing this research.
Well, it certainly shows. Now let's discuss your literature review in more detail.
Part 3 has now ended. You now have 30 seconds to review your answers. Please turn to Part 4. In Part 4, you will listen to a presentation on oceanic microparticles. Take a moment to review questions 31 to 40 first. Pay close attention and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good morning, everyone. Today's lecture focuses on marine microplastics, a significant environmental challenge that has garnered increasing scientific attention over the past 15 years. As we explore this topic, we'll examine what microplastics are, how they enter marine ecosystems, their impact, and potential solutions to this growing problem. Let's begin by defining what we mean by microplastics. These are tiny plastic particles measuring less than 5 millimeters in diameter, about the size of a sesame seed or smaller. They can be categorized into two types: primary microplastics, which are manufactured at this small size for specific purposes, and secondary microplastics, which result from the breakdown of larger plastic items. The pathways through which microplastics enter our oceans are diverse. Primary microplastics often enter waterways through wastewater containing cosmetic products like exfoliating facial scrubs or toothpaste with microbeads. Additionally, synthetic fibers from clothing shed during washing and enter water systems through laundry effluent. Secondary microplastics, on the other hand, form when larger plastic debris like bottles, bags, and fishing gear break down due to exposure to sunlight, wave action, and other environmental factors. The ubiquity of microplastics in marine environments is staggering. Scientific surveys have documented microplastic presence in over 27 different marine ecosystems worldwide, from coastal waters to the deep sea. Research expeditions have found microplastics in the most remote locations, including Arctic ice, the Mariana Trench, the deepest oceanic trench on Earth, and uninhabited islands far from human population centres. This widespread distribution demonstrates the pervasive nature of this contaminant. Perhaps the most concerning aspect of microplastic pollution is the potential for these particles to concentrate toxins that can affect the entire food chain. Microplastics can absorb persistent organic pollutants and heavy metals from the surrounding seawater, essentially becoming tiny toxic pellets. When marine organisms ingest these particles, they may also absorb the concentrated toxins. As smaller organisms are consumed by larger ones, these contaminants can bioaccumulate up the food chain, potentially reaching humans who consume seafood. The impacts on marine life are multifaceted. Physical effects include internal abrasions and blockages in the digestive systems of marine animals. Chemical effects stem from the toxins associated with the plastics, as well as from plasticizers and additives that can leach from the plastic itself. These chemicals may disrupt endocrine function, impair reproduction, and cause other physiological problems in marine species. There's also growing evidence of ecological effects, as microplastics alter habitat structures and potentially transfer invasive species to new environments. Now let's turn our attention to innovative solutions being developed to address microplastic pollution. These can be broadly categorized into technological approaches, policy interventions, and changes in consumer behavior. On the technological front, advanced filtration systems for wastewater treatment plants are being developed to capture microplastics before they enter natural waterways. These range from membrane bioreactors to advanced oxidation processes. Additionally, scientists are creating biodegradable plastic alternatives made from algae and other plant materials that break down naturally without creating persistent microplastic particles. Policy interventions are equally important in addressing this issue. International agreements to reduce single-use plastic production are gaining momentum, with many countries implementing bans on specific items like plastic bags and straws. Extended producer responsibility laws are also being enacted in various jurisdictions, holding manufacturers accountable for the entire life cycle of their plastic products, including disposal and recycling. Consumer-driven solutions involve changing purchasing habits and increasing awareness. The growing zero-waste movement encourages individuals to reduce their plastic consumption through reusable alternatives and plastic-free living. Educational campaigns help inform the public about the hidden sources of microplastics in everyday products, empowering them to make environmentally conscious choices. Looking ahead, several research priorities have been identified for advancing our understanding and management of marine microplastics. Long-term ecological impact studies are needed to fully comprehend how these particles affect ecosystems over time. Additionally, the development of standardized measurement protocols is essential for comparing results across different studies and monitoring pollution levels globally. In conclusion, marine microplastic pollution represents one of the most pervasive anthropogenic alterations to our oceans. However, the growing awareness of this issue, coupled with technological innovation and policy development, offers hope for mitigating its impact. As we continue to study and address this challenge, interdisciplinary collaboration between scientists, policymakers, industry leaders, and the public will be crucial for developing effective solutions. In our next lecture, we'll explore specific case studies of microplastic remediation projects in various marine environments, Thank you for your attention, and I welcome any questions you might have.
Part 4 has now ended. You now have 30 seconds to review your answers.
By the way, if you want more IELTS listening practice tests, click the like button and write yes in the comments. If you want something else, tell me your video wish in the comments so I know what you want to see on this channel. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe and click the bell icon so you're notified when the next video comes out. Also, share this video with your friends so they can improve their IELTS score too. See you in the next video.